Diwali is the festival, the celebration of light. It's the time when Lord Ram returns, when God comes back. And as we were talking about on the God, it's about an inner light, about opening our eyes, opening our hearts. But what I wanted to look at in more depth is it sounds so easy. It sounds so simple. It sounds so purposeful. Why is it that we would keep living in the dark if the light were there? Why is it that it's so hard for us to see that light? These days in the world, something that so many people are afraid of or scared of, complain about, is things that are going on in the world. So many people come and say, but what about what's happening here? What about what's happening there? What do we do about this darkness in our world? And the truth is that, as we always say, doesn't matter how long it's been dark, doesn't matter how dark it is, the minute that there is even a small light, it automatically dispels that darkness. It's sadly us who have gotten so accustomed to living in the darkness that we've mistaken our dreams for the reality of the light. We've mistaken the ignorance for the truth. We've mistaken the illusion for the truth. We've mistaken the stuff that is born out of darkness. The ego, the anger, the frustration, the competitions, the jealousies, all of that stuff. We have forgotten the real truth. It's like if you stay asleep for too long, you start to think your dreams are the reality. This is why, the yogis, when we talk about yogic sleep, it's very interesting looking from a scientific and a spiritual standpoint. They both say the same thing, which is get up early. And the reason that we get up early is that you actually spend a much greater part of your time that you are sleeping in dreams in the morning than you do in the night. So after 6 o'clock in the morning, for example, a much greater percentage of your time asleep is actually spent dreaming rather than in restorative sleep. And I mention this because the longer that you do that, number one, the less restored you are. Number two, the more out of it we feel. You go to sleep at 10, you get up at 4, at 5, even at 6. You're so refreshed. But you go to sleep at 2. Even you sleep 8, 9 hours. You're much less refreshed because you've spent such a long part of your sleep in dreams. And this is relevant on Deewali because when we talk about light, it's really the light of the divine presence which brings truth. But we have to open our eyes for that. Just as when you shift from dream into reality, from one dream into this world, which in another satsang on another night we'll talk about how this is also a dream. But for now, for the purpose of this metaphor, we'll call this waking state our reality, and we'll call what we experience when we sleep the dream. You have to open your eyes in order to actually be able to see the truth. Doesn't matter how scary it is in the dream. Doesn't matter how attached we are to the outcome in the dream. Doesn't matter how emotional it is. The minute we open our eyes, we're able to see the truth. That's the light. And in our lives, the same things happen. If we don't really commit ourselves to a spiritual path, all of the stuff that fills our lives, this superficial layer stuff that we're going to call the stuff of the dream world, the stuff that relates to the waves on the ocean, the ups and the downs, the stuff about this particular identity, the stuff that separates me from you. That's the illusion. That's the ignorance. That's why when we pray to God for light, it's not just the light of a fluorescent bulb. It's the light of truth, the light of knowledge, the light with which we really can see. And so on Deewali, when we light the lamp, it's not just that we light these lamps outside and they burn for a few hours and we say, oh, it's so pretty. But we really ask ourselves, what in my life is still covered in darkness? And when we say darkness, it's important to remember that we don't mean bad, we don't mean sinful, we don't mean evil. It's not the concept of darkness that says you are dark, you are bad, you are horrible. Not that. Just the darkness of ignorance. Just the darkness that prevents us from actually seeing who we are and what life is about. The darkness that says, yeah, I'm over here, I'm this physical body, you're over there. We've got to fight for resources. We have to fight for who's going to be CEO of this company. We've got to fight for who gets the house that we both want, or the parking space we both want, or the land we both want. Pujya Swamiji spoke on the banks of Ganga so beautifully about peace, about the light of peace, and how it's darkness that makes us fight, whether it's fighting within ourselves, whether it's fighting in a family, fighting in a community, or fighting between nations. It's the darkness that prevents us from seeing that we're actually one. And so if I'm living in that state of darkness, then I think I'm over here and I'm separate. I have to collect, I have to hoard, whether it's money, whether it's land, whether it's possessions, whether it's people, whether it's love, whether it's acclaim. But it all stems out of this darkness of separation and of scarcity. And as I was saying on the God about praying to Maha Lakshmi for the real prosperity, she's the goddess of wealth. But people mistakenly think that we pray to her so that, I'll get a raise, or interest rates will, go up, or my son is going to get a good job, or I'm going to open my eyes from my puja and I'm going to win the lottery. That's not the real prosperity. As long as I feel that there is something my life is lacking, I am living in a state of poverty. As long as I feel like what I have is less than what someone else has, I'm living in a state of poverty. As long as I feel that there is something between me and fulfillment, something between me and happiness, something between me and joy. Whether it's something I have yet to achieve, whether it's a person I think is standing on my path or some other hurdle, whether it's a time frame, whatever it is, if right here in this moment I'm not able to know that there is abundance already, that what I have, who I am, is abundant, then I'm living in a state of poverty. And that is what we pray to Maha Lakshmi for. It's not, oh great Maha Lakshmi, please let the rupee rise next week. Oh Maha Lakshmi, please let me get the promotion or the raise, or let me be the one, let me climb that ladder, whether it's a corporate ladder, a social ladder, whatever ladder I'm trying to climb. It's not that. It's, oh Maha Lakshmi, give me the light to know that my cup runneth over. Give me the light to know that I am living in a state of abundance, that I have so much that rather than hoarding, I want to share. Again, whether it's physical wealth, whether it's material possessions, whether it's my time, whether it's my energy, whether it's my love. We grab and we hoard when we're living in a state of scarcity. And it doesn't matter how many zeros there are in our bank account, how many floors there are in our house, how many cars in our driveway. If I'm hoarding, if I'm grabbing, there's scarcity. And at this time of Deewali, when we do Lakshmi Puja and we pray to Lakshmi, it's this beautiful opportunity for all of us to get the blessings from the Divine Mother Goddess, to know we already are abundant. The fact that we are here, the fact that we're on the banks of Ganga, the fact that we've incarnated in human form, and then that we have the triple blessing of being able to be in the presence of the saint. But even just that we're able to take in a breath, that we've got consciousness. It's more. It's more than enough. And the real prosperity is, how can I shift from feeling poor to feeling abundant? And that's what the prayers are, is bestow upon me such spiritual connection, such groundedness. This is what Puja Swamiji was speaking about in Hindi on the banks of Ganga, about Utsav and our roots. A tree sheds its leaves every year. They may be green and beautiful one time of the year, one season. Then they dry, they become brown and red. They fall. But if the roots are nourished and nurtured, it doesn't matter if every leaf falls off that tree. It's still strong, it's still there, and when the springtime comes, it's again abundant with leaves. Most of us spend our lives making the leaves beautiful, and we forget about the roots. And this is a beautiful and auspicious time. Tomorrow is the day that so much of India celebrates as the New Year. And of course, as Puja Swamiji always says, whenever you wake up, it's morning. And yet, nonetheless, most of us like a specific time to start something new. Whether we say Monday morning, I'm going to start my diet, or January 1st, I'm going to start a meditation practice, or whatever our personal pledge is. it's nice to have a specific auspicious moment to begin it. So tomorrow's the new year. Today is the Festival of Light, the time when literally the divine returned. It's an interesting metaphor because, of course, God never goes anywhere. So when you think about it really, it's that we've gone somewhere. God doesn't go in return. We go in return. Our focus, our awareness, our consciousness. So it's a time that we come back. We reroute ourselves, reground ourselves. Let the light in. And make a pledge for the new year, whatever it is. But something that this time next year is going to bring us 365 days later, full of light, full of real prosperity, and with roots that are nourished and nurtured in who we really are, in that truth, in that divinity. And this is a very, very auspicious day to begin.